Do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Fonda, Allie. I am originally from the Marshall Islands. I moved to the United States in 1979 to pursue my education here. I went to school in Arizona, and then after I graduated from college, I moved to California because I had some relatives that were living in California at the time. I'm a baby boomer. I was born in 1961, so I'm kind of like really familiar with everything that's been going on and everything that she was talking about. Even till this day, you know, I still questions a lot of the things that happened at those times, and I have relatives that married people from the Runit Islands, you know, so thank you so much, you know, for being interested in knowing about what's going on, because it's one of those things that the United States does not like to talk about. They, like she said, you know, nobody really knew about it, and when I came to school here, they never even mentioned them in the textbooks or anything about it either. People will ask me, where are you from? And I'm like, I'm from the Marshall Islands. Where is that? I'd be like, it's a little tiny, tiny dot in the Pacific. You know, so I would take a map and show it to them, and I would say, have you ever heard of the Bikini Islands? And they'll be like, no. So I said, well, you should know, because the United States bombed the islands. So, and a lot of kids don't know. Even till today, they don't know.
So let me ask you a question. One of the things I didn't talk about much, but I think was probably understood as I talked about the history of the Marshall Islands is, well, let me say two things. One, the Marshallese suffer high rates of cancer compared to the rest of the world. The second thing is, in 1986, when the Compact of Free Association between the United States and the Marshall Islands was signed, the part of what the United States was giving the Marshallese was the ability to work and live here and to give them health care. In 1992, that health care was taken away by Congress for all Compact of Free Association states, which meant all the Marshallese who come here are unable to qualify for federal assistance. And there are two states, Oregon and Washington, which provide COFA nations, Compact of Free Association nations, with that. But I'm wondering how the Marshallese community, there's a huge one in Arkansas, you live here in California, how do you deal with being in this funny area of being able to work here freely? You can join the armed services, you pay Social Security, but you are unable to receive the medical care that was part of the promise that we made when this compact was signed.
We struggle a lot. You know, a lot of the people struggle a lot. They're getting to where they're figuring it out. If I don't work, I'll go on welfare, and I can get medical, you know, free medical and free everything from that. But at the same time, they don't want to be an example for their kids to depend on welfare. When I first came to United States, one of my cousins that he was the first senator on the islands, he always told us that if we come over here to the United States to live, to never ever go on welfare. If we can work and help ourselves, then we should do it. It's hard for those people, and I've known that they, in Arkansas and in Spokane and Oregon, they're trying to push. I know in Oregon, I think one of the senators over there is trying to push to see if they can bring that back to where people can get the medical and all that, because to me, it's like, that's not fair. You know, you came and bombed our islands, and then now you're going to say that you're not gonna care for us. We should be able to get medical free for the rest of our lives. We're only like 60,000 plus population. United States can handle 60,000 plus compared to all these, countries that they're aiding for millions and millions of dollars of money, and we're getting nothing out of it. And we didn't ask for them to come to the islands and bomb the islands, for us. I remember people would, tell stories. They were up early in the morning drinking coffee and tea, and they see ashes in their coffee, and they don't even know what it was because they didn't let them know that they were doing that. So we're having a hard time, even for education. It was supposed to be, when I first came over here, I came on a student visa, and I was not supposed to. I had to fight, and for them, and I had a document in my hand. I had printed out, saying that, hey, I'm legal here. We're legal. We were legal to vote, to work, to do everything. Actually, not voting, to be eligible just like an American citizen. The only thing we couldn't do was vote. But now they took that away. So I don't know what our leaders are doing. I don't know what's going on right now. We're trying to fight, and bring it back.
So one of the things that I learned doing the reporting, in addition to the fact that Marshallese suffer this disproportionate level of cancer in the population, there are no oncologists anywhere in the Marshall Islands, and there are just 2 hospitals. So again, like my understanding is this is a population that is disproportionately affected by radiation-induced cancers. They can't get treatment at home. The promise was made to come here. They'd be able to get the treatment they need. And the claims that they were making, I understand, are also for some of that because they can't get the medical care. And so I think you've addressed that fairly well. But I mean, when you speak with Marshallese back home, what's the...
Well, when I was growing up, part of the like you said, part of the agreement too was like since we don't have those doctors on the islands, they would evacuate people to Hawaii, and Hawaii was supposed to be the place where they can treat us. And amazing, I mean, I didn't even know it, but if you go to Tripoli Medical Center, which is an Army medical center in Hawaii, they have a section for the people from the islands. They call it the radiation section, but not too many people know about it. Only reason why I know is because I work at the Tripoli Medical Center, so that's how I know about it and stuff. But whenever somebody comes from the island for emergency, for major surgeries or anything like that, they would put them in a section. There's one wing at Tripoli Medical Center that's only for people from the island because they're called the radiation people and stuff, so. But they allow the patients to walk around everywhere, and stuff. But when I talk to them about how now most of them are going to the Philippines. That's where they're going to the Philippines to get medical because it's cheaper. People that can afford it, they'll go there. People that cannot afford it, they just stay on the islands and die, because if they come over here, it's too much to, fight the government and say, hey, why can't I be eligible? People from all over the world become a refugee and they get free everything here when you're a refugee. People from Cambodia will come here and they're considered refugees. They'll get free everything. But people from the Marshall Islands come over here and we cannot be considered refugees. We have to work and do everything just like you do and fight for what, for medical and everything. So I think it's up to the leaders for the Marshall Islands to fight for us, and we'll see how far they go.
So another thing I understand, recent geopolitics, we have Kwajalein as a military base in the ocean, in the middle of the Pacific. And from there, we do missile testing. We can also keep an eye on North Korea and China. As part of China's, I think it's the Silk, or is it the Road and Belt Initiative? Belt and Road Initiative, are moving into developing nations, sort of expanding their footprint around the world. And the Pacific Islands have become an area they're very interested in. And so in Kiribati and What was the other one that recently flipped? They had sort of had a Western affiliation. They're now looking toward China for the help that they don't get any longer from the United States. The Marshall Islands is in a funny position right now. They're up for ratifying the Compact of Free Association. All this new information has come out about the lingering radiation. The Chinese have offered through side channels to come in and help with climate change, to provide aid that the United States hasn't. Yet when I speak with Marshallese who are here in the United States, as angry as they are about the bombing, they are also grateful for what the United States has given them in terms of education, being able to work here, to have a life here.
That's correct.
So can you tell us a little more about this complicated relationship and what the pulls from China would be versus the United States?
In my own opinion, if Chinese come over there, I think we'll be done. Because they're not just gonna say that they're gonna treat us, medically, but they want everything. I mean, right now we have ships, fishing ships coming from Taiwan, China, they're taking the shark fin, for soup, so they're not only just gonna, saying that they're treating the people, but they also want our resources. They want everything that we have for their own benefit. If it doesn't benefit them, they wouldn't offer to help. And yes, it's true, the Marshallese are now going to the Japanese, to Chinese, to whoever is willing to help them medically. But at the same time, they're kind of like in a naive position because they don't really know, if those people those countries are really gonna help them or not. And yes, we do kind of are angry with the United States, but at the same time, we're grateful that they brought us out of that and give us, the opportunity to do that, to come here freely and get our education and all of that stuff. But there's still, I still think that they should provide the medical for us, period. Everything else is okay, but they should still provide the medical because that's something that, you're sick, you're sick. There's no, and if you don't have any medical, I don't have an insurance right now. I don't have medical insurance because I'm in that position. It's hard for me to get one. And so I try to get it through my work, but it's too expensive. So it's either I have medical insurance and live on the streets, or I have roof over my head and no medical insurance.